Hi everyone, it's Mike from CMS Critic. Today I'm here at the Jahia offices in Paris, and I'm going to be chatting with Chris Justice, who's the Senior Vice President of Marketing for Jahia. Chris, thanks for having me over here.
Welcome.
Chris just recently joined the Jahia team to lead their marketing efforts, and previously you came over from Magnolia, who we had worked together at previously. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what helped you make a decision to move over to Jahia.
Sure. I had a great time at Magnolia, and I was in Switzerland at the time, and my family and I were thinking about going back to the States.
Okay.
We missed a lot of things in the United States, but we really kind of felt like Europe was still calling us here for a bit of time more. And I got a telephone call from one of my old friends at Vignette, and he said, I know a place where you're going to be very happy. And so I met with the founders, and I was really just awestruck by the sense of ownership and the way that they approach customers, and their customer kind of very product-centric and customer-centric approach to building and innovating. Plus, they're incredible people. And that's one of the things that really captivated me. And so my wife and I said, all right, we're moving to Geneva, and we're going to really have an incredible time with not only the technology, of course, which is great, but also with the culture of the company.
And there's been a number of new faces coming on with Jahia recently. I mean, as you said before, there's people from Vignette that have come over here. Also, Kevin Cochran, who's a well-known name within the CMS industry, joined the Jahia board recently. How is it working with Kevin? And what do you see from for the future between the relationship between you guys?
Well, I think from a technology standpoint, the company is spot on. The suite of products that they do have and the roadmap for the things that are coming in the future are incredible. They've really nailed the progress that's necessary to move beyond just content management and move into user experience management. And so now, with the addition of Kevin on the board of directors and the funding that they put into place, now we really have the mechanism to bring the message out. And what's great for me as a marketer is that the technology is not a challenge. It's really just amplifying our message and communicating to a larger and broader audience, and ensuring that developers recognize the power of the platform. So as soon as they deploy that, they're able to build incredibly scalable applications that go from just desktop, but also into this mobile and native application space.
And one of the things that we were talking about just prior to sitting down is one of the things that I've been looking at a long time with the different CMS products is it seems like there's a lot of missed opportunity. You have marketers, you have all these people, all these different touch points where all these people from different silos are working with this platform. There's an opportunity there to not only engage them and make their experience a positive one, but also to teach them how to produce better content, to work better with the product, and to help them become better at their own roles. Can you talk a little bit about what you see as a vision for the product going forward in that direction? Sure.
I think, if you look at the user experience space, I think the traditional user that we might have expected to use a content management system, even 5 years ago, was a senior individual with some technical expertise who knew some knowledge of HTML. I think now, if you look at the team that I built previously and at some of the startups that I created as well, we have 18-year-old kids that have the ability to become content engineers. They know HTML, they understand the concept of analytics and advertising because they're exposed to it. And there's a new generation of individual that not only has to know the basics of web content management and content engineering, but also they can conceptualize this because they've been exposed to all of these advertising mediums for so long. So one of the things I really appreciate about the Jahia architecture is the ability to roll these third-party tools in to the back end and create a unified user experience for the people that need really real-time data into developing better content and improving the customer journey. But more so, those tools are constantly changing. So today it's Mixpanel, tomorrow it's Google Analytics, and tomorrow it's another analytical tool that'll give them that one more fragment of data. But then you can build those and plug those easily into the Jahia platform, and then get this whole new dimension of user data, user privacy, and user responsibility around just managing that overall content experience.
And this is a good opportunity actually, because with it's not often you get to sit down with someone who's got some really solid knowledge of the marketing space. You've been with a lot of CMS providers before, so you've seen the way things work. Marketing is changing at a ridiculously fast pace. Like, it's so fast that a lot of companies are just being completely left behind in the dust, and they can't stay on top of things. What do you see as the next sort of evolution? Do you see it slowing down? Do you see a convergence between inbound and outbound marketing? What's happening in that space from your perspective?
Well, I think that we're always hungry for better content.
Yeah.
I think that it's been mentioned before that the integrity of this user profile and that identity that you collect from a customer to build that relationship, the privacy of that information is paramount. I believe that there is no more critical and more liable role in an organization than the chief marketing officer. Not only does this individual have to prescribe the tools that present the brand, they also have to handle commerce, legal, security, indemnity, liability, and really from a technology standpoint, it's very unlike the CIO's role or a chief security officer's. This individual is visible and his work is subjective. So he constantly needs tools that give him more assurance of the privacy, that he's protecting that individual's data when they do provide that data, but also he has to understand the life cycle of every customer that comes in to ensure that he's providing the value to the organization and he's measurable to the rest of the business. So there are new roles that will start to form. The concept of SEO, I think we've seen the magic and mystery of SEO start to become less relevant. Yeah. Because now the number of mobile devices that an organization is not only has to use, but is required to build for their customers is even larger than that web presence. So the CMO is not only the architect, but he's also that point of interface between the internal businesses and the external customers. So we need more people that are educated on all those aspects, and therefore they can't use 50 different tools. It's impossible to be educated on Salesforce and Mixpanel and analytics and so forth. They have to be in a user experience platform.
Yeah, and you take a look at products. I mean, a great example of that is you take a look at something as massive as SAP, for instance, right? So there are literally people that specialize in specific modules within SAP, and the amount of education required just to understand that is astronomical, right? So working within a specific provider that gives you a familiar interface to all the various connection points is critical, right?
Yeah.
What do you see Jahia doing for the marketer? So let's flip the coin. We know what a marketer's goals are. We know what they need to be able to do with the tools. How do you see Jahia taking their hand and leading them down the right path? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So some of the things I'm really excited about at the conference that will be announced, and we've kind of trickled some of this data out already, we'll announce Marketing Factory, which is really a unified identity for the individuals that are interacting with your website, and it's a very flexible framework so that you can aggregate other analytical tools into that framework. So it works alongside those existing marketing automation tools, can complement what you've already collected from the customer. And then you've got Commerce Factory, which is also about to be released. And really that's that marketplace, and it's a springboard and almost a first step of e-commerce before you get to a high-rise, or before you get to another larger e-commerce solution. Because as you know, when you manage thousands and thousands of items in a catalog, it takes a different system. It takes an SAP, it takes a Hybris to manage that fulfillment. But a lot of organizations really just need a simple go-to-market, very focused commerce package. They can handle a few hundred content or catalog items, and then really enable that marketing team to lead the charge in terms of commerce. So I think that what you see with Jahia is the ability not only to use a base platform of content management, engineering, and publishing, and so forth, but also you're getting a suite of tools that are already ready to handle some of the marketing challenges and commerce needs that you need as you scale the organization from a content management perspective.
And what are your biggest goals now? So you're in this role. It's been a reasonably short period of time in the grand scheme of things.
Sure.
What are your objectives? Where do you want to take the company? Like, what is your primary objective that you're aiming at right now?
Well, I think number one, I've been a developer in my past, so I have a big community focus. I want to make sure that we're serving the community. One of the things I really like about Jahia is all of our academy training is free. And we're going to continue to promote that, making sure that we have very, very strong training content so that we can enable our partners and developers. Another focus, obviously, is getting individuals and individual developers to contribute into our public app store, which is, again, a huge asset and a unique differentiator for Jahia. Is not only do we have the ability to promote apps from developers in our public app store, but also for organizations that need more control, they have a private app store. So really engaging more developers, and you'll see us doing more developer outreach. And then finally, it's really, entertaining the buyers, because if you look at Jahia and the content that we have today, it's a very technical focus, which is great. But if you look at how we compete in the market in terms of features, functionality, and pricing, we're one of the most aggressively priced and easy to implement solutions out there. So how do we tell more people about what we've done? Because we've got a great track record of competing with much larger vendors at such a more aggressive price point, and with a team of people that really care about the success of every customer. We leave no one behind.
And you've got, obviously we've mentioned before, there's the big injection of cash. Obviously that's critical to making sure that you're able to make those specific changes. So there's a fairly solid presence right now in Europe. It's gaining momentum in North America. How do you consolidate the two of them and make sure that there's nobody that's looking at Jahia as a company and saying, oh, that's a European product, I should probably focus on something that started off here in North America? What do you say to that?
Well, my background is in the United States and North American marketing, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to come to Jahia. The strength in Europe is obviously there already for the platform.
Right.
So we really are now going to take that message into the U.S. market, into the North American market, and do more outreach programs with developers. We'll do executive roundtables on the cost of implementation, ROI associated with user experience platforms, because it's very, very different than content management. And I think that content management is a feature, not a product.
Yeah.
And you have to focus on what it means to deploy a solution, not only for that individual who just graduated, but also for that senior executive who's trying to make a pretty sizable investment in redefining their customer experience. And every one of those aspects can be measurable, and they can be done through Jahia. But we have to actually teach more people about what that means.
Yeah, there's always that education point too. I mean, one of the things that occurs a lot, you see a lot of frustration point in people that are choosing this solution specifically, is there's the licensing model price and there's the implementation cost, which can be 2.5, 3 times the price of what they would pay licensing sometimes. And so it's making that clear as to, hey, look, not only can we fulfill this set of features that you're looking for and these requirements that you have, but we can also implement it, and it's not going to take 2-3 years down the road. Look at the difference in time that's going to take to get that in place. So communicating, that's key for sure.
I think so too, and Jahia is a great platform for that. And I think the best asset that I have as a marketing person is just the number of satisfied customers that they already have. Yeah. So to amplify that message, to communicate the values of those organizations as they've applied the solutions, and we carefully select the right companies for our tool, and we kind of focus on integrity is paramount. We don't promise anything we can't deliver, and I think that's unusual sometimes in the software space.
I would agree. Yeah.
So you'll find that the culture that's coming directly from our CEO, we promise exactly what we can deliver. And then if we have shortcomings in the capabilities and what is required by the customer, we'll be the first one to admit that. But I think that if you look at our roadmap and the things we'll announce at JahiaOne, you'll see that when a customer speaks, we're right there to listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think a good example, I've mentioned this several times, I mean, we had when we were here covering last year's conference, one of the things that was a really interesting takeaway from our perspective as journalists is we saw one of their key customers, HomeAway, step up on stage and then just flat out tell everyone that, look, I've yet to find anything I can't do with this product. And it's a really great example of a customer being completely satisfied with something and actually to the point where they were like, wow, we're actually surprised because we didn't know we had all this other capability as well, right? So it really sort of sells itself at that point. I think the growth of the company, the investment and bringing the key people in is really going to make a big difference.
And we have so many more stories that we need to tell. And so that's the goal, is really to ensure that we tell more of those stories and that we teach what the platform's capable of.
Perfect. It was a great talking with you, Chris. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
And stay tuned, everyone. You'll see an upcoming product walkthrough as well of the new release of Jahia, which will be published shortly after this interview. And of course, stay tuned on our Twitter account. Follow the hashtag JahiaOne or watch twitter.com/CMS Critic. We'll be live tweeting from JahiaOne 2015. Thank you.
Thanks.